Let's just get this out of the way right up front, but you poop in toilets. Toilets are where the poop goes. Let's just get it out of our system just like it goes right through the plumbing system. And because of this fact, it would seem to make a great deal of sense for toilets to be the color brown, so that in our easily grossed out human sensibilities, we wouldn't have to struggle with the remnants of whatever we ate yesterday that isn't completely ready to take the dive down the porcelain luge. No, it's not an Olympic contender, it's just a lima bean. Like, we as a society are really grossed out by human waste. It's probably an evolutionarily selected for trait because human waste is full of all the things that are no longer useful and nutritious, and of course, it can also spread disease. Being repulsed by poop is very likely a baked-in human trait, just like somebody's baking brownies right now in a bathroom near you. This video is brought to you by middle school. You guys probably know all about the poop stuff, but what you might not know is why the place where you poop isn't poop colored, so that we can see every single disgusting mark and streak that slowly slithers its way into the deep darkness below, and in the meantime simply stares upward, taunting us. I had a lot of ideas about this going into the video, and I'm still going to go over some of them, but it turns out that the real reasons why toilets are white are mostly kind of a letdown. There are lots of random theories about this and not a lot of hard realities behind them, and I want to talk about that too because there's just a lot of crap about crappers. But the real bottom line, it turns out, is the bottom line. Basically, like most everything else in our current supply and demand focused society, it's just all about cutting costs. Toilets are white because the most common material we use to make them is naturally white. The kind of porcelain we use these days to make toilets has a specific glaze on it during manufacturing that turns it into something called Vitreous china. It's not a Final Fantasy party member or a Magic the Gathering card from the new Phyrexia pack, it's a porcelain glaze. Vitreous china happens to be white. Of course, there are also countless design blogs out there that claim all kinds of other reasons for the color of toilets. I don't fully believe there's a lot of evidence for any of those, except for maybe one clear standout. But these are things like design principles and the aesthetics of cleanliness. White materials supposedly just feel clean. I guess because you can very easily see anything gross that has accumulated on them. One claim is that this made it really easy for hospitals and other businesses and industrial settings to ensure that their facilities were clean, and that this just ultimately became institutionalized and standardized for everyone else. The one other argument I could definitely see as a real contributing factor also happens to involve profit. We live in a post-abundance, consumer-driven hellscape, and nothing screams heavenly perfumed notes of capitalism louder than the phrase resale value. The lucky color of move-in ready domiciles, you ask? Well, you guessed it. It's white. Bland, blank, white, ready for the next dreamer to imagine themselves and all of their stuff in. So we must absolutely make sure that nobody living in our society today expresses their personality in any way and simply waits inside their own house as if it's a graveyard for their soul, biding their time endlessly until the day they can pass on their perfectly white commode to the next characterless miscreant who will then perform the very same vigil. We have a painfully beautiful way of ruining ourselves at the slightest suggestion of a profit margin. So anyway, shitters. Another design thing I've seen from the sources that I've searched through tells me that the color white makes an area appear larger than it really is. I have no way to verify this with my own eyes, and I don't really understand from a physics perspective how the color of an object inside a room might accomplish this. But maybe since overall bathrooms are generally white, this is a possibility? And something about how the mechanics of light works on vitreous china? I don't really know. If you know, please get in touch in the comments and let's figure that one out. White glazes also happen to be very chemically stable. They'll stand up under constant water flow and will survive being subjected again and again to harsh soaps and cleaning products and disinfectants. This is one good reason that toilets aren't brown, or any other color in any considerable volume, because glazes of other colors contain pigments that can fade over time under everyday bathroom conditions. I mean, I don't know about your bathroom conditions, but I go hard in there. So if you're pondering life's mysteries atop a non-standard throne day after day for years at a time, you're going to end up with some splotchy wear and tear that otherwise wouldn't show up on vitreous china. So yeah, toilets are white because that's what makes manufacturers and homeowners the most money possible. Everyone can agree on a neutral color like white. It's equally disappointing for everyone. And so no one bothers mass producing and installing non-standard colors because there's simply too many options on the spectrum, and you could end up alienating a huge number of potential homeowners. Now, honestly, I was expecting to find out that a lot of the aesthetics of cleanliness stuff was going to be the main reason why toilets are white. I was anticipating that our puritanical American Protestant work ethic and moralizing around cleanliness and godliness was going to be the biggest reason for the color of our commodes. But then again, the modern toilet as we know it wasn't invented in America. It was invented in Europe. The first flush toilet was likely invented in one possible case somewhere in the medieval period by an anonymous inventor, and then once again possibly for Ralph de Cromwell, and then again this time for sure by John Harrington for his godmother Queen Elizabeth I in the 16th century. Before this, in Europe, you'd find something called a garderobe, which is basically a tiny outcropping on a higher floor with a hole in the seat. And if you've ever played any Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 lately, you would have seen these everywhere. And then finally, the flush toilet was standardized with an S-trap to keep odors away in the 17th century, and then manufactured at scale by none other than Thomas Crapper. Yes, that's partially why we call it that, but crap was also a known word before then with the same meaning. There's also probably something about the solitude of the modern bathroom at play. Pooping was, at various time periods across history, a social activity. In the medieval period, that row of benches with the holes in them was a lot like the barbershop or the newsstand today. It was the TikTok of its time. And we all know when the majority of users are hopping on TikTok. Well, all the same went for King Richard I. And on a fun related note, a castle he built was the spot of a successful siege during which attackers climbed up his poop pipes and entered the castle through the latrines because he'd built the shafts carrying the waste all the way to the ground. So listen, maybe you don't like the bland modern toilets of today, but if there's one thing you'll never have to worry about, it's getting surprised by attackers climbing up your plumbing in full plate mail. I guess it's a little bit of a trade-off. Just to reiterate this whole thing, it looks like toilets are white so that we can all collectively share the profits of a neutral design decision for a product that's then easily manufactured and standardized in housing development. I included one source down in the didgeridoo that's from a ceramics company, and it's clearly translated from Mandarin and very poorly at that, so I'd encourage you to check that out if you're up for some further exploration of this topic in an immensely silly way. You will learn things like the white toilet is similar to the principles of an ant's towel. This whole investigation of why toilets aren't brown reminds me of that pirate joke that I heard about 20 years ago. The fearless captain called out for his red pants anytime a ship was spotted on the horizon because he never wanted his men to see him bleed. And then one day a whole armada showed up on the horizon and he called out, "Bring me my brown pants." What, like, why would it just be his pants? Like, wouldn't you want like a whole red pirate suit? But it's just, I guess it's just the pants because it works for the joke. And don't you joke around. Instead, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed the content and subscribe to the channel. And share this around if you have friends you'd like to also understand the history of modern crapper design. I'll see you in the next one.